Welcome to tonight's talk on technologies to get the word out with me, your host, Jamie Briga. For those of you that are viewing online via YouTube, you might not know who I am. I think this group knows who I am, but my name is Jamie Briga. I am the head of curation here at the Game Makers Guild. So I manage the seal of approval and the process that games go through to get that seal. I am a programmer, a DevOps person, and a UX designer, and I've been doing these things for at least 16 years. I mean, I've been working on computers since I was a child learning MS DOS. So I'm well versed in the backgrounds of technology and what we're going to cover today. And I'm super excited to talk about some of this stuff. I'm a game designer, so I make both video games and tabletop games. So I've got a few games up on Steam. The notable ones are the 100-player Twitch Chat Party Pack and Christmas Movie Bingo. And of the tabletop games I'm working on, I've got a few in the pipeline, but Quick Fight, a legacy game, is the one that I think most people know me by or are most excited about, and that's coming out as soon as I can finish it. We'll get there. I also provide expert feedback for AAA digital and tabletop studios. So the two notable ones are I was a tester for Rock Band 1 and 4 by Harmonix Music Systems. So they actually pulled me in because I was ultra good at Guitar Hero and I know how to play drums in real life. So I was locked in a room for 6 hours and just walked through the set list for Rock Band 1 one time. It was great. And Betrayal Legacy. So if you're familiar with Betrayal at House on Hill, I provided a months of feedback on that game for Avalon Hill. And yeah, that's some of the stuff I've been working on. So now you know who I am, let's set the stage. So for a lot of us, we're working on games, right? We build the skills of a game designer. We get to know our games in and out. We do some great work on these things. And honestly, we're working on games that somewhere down the road, we release and someone's going to love it. And that is really, really meaningful work, I think, for all of us. And if your plan is to get a game and get it released, then you're going to need to get the word out about it. And if people want the game you're working on, you'll not only need to notify them when the game is ready for purchase and build a relationship with that person, but if they don't know who you are and they want to know who you are, you need to make it as easy as possible for them to stumble upon your game and more information about it. So the two technologies that I think are absolutely critical to achieving these two goals once you're starting to get your game completed are actually like on the technology side of things. They're not related to game design at all. And they are getting an email list or a mailing list set up so you can communicate with people that are interested about your game. They're already, they're in. And number two, a website at a .com, which is, to me, the pinnacle of legitimacy in the online world. So tonight's talk is going to tell you about how to get both of these set up cheaply and easily. So we're going to cover a lot in an hour, but let me talk first about where you should be in the process before kind of pushing on to these two things. So when's the right time? From my standpoint, you've got three things that you're going to want to do before you start worrying about your website and your mailing list. And the first is if you are starting to put effort into preparing a Kickstarter, if that's become a serious aspirational goal for you and you're already making progress, this might be the right time to start thinking about these things. If you're submitting your game to festivals and competitions, like your game is that good and you believe in it and you think it's going to be real, that's another great time you should be thinking about these things. And if you're ready to pitch to publishers, another great time to be thinking about getting a website set up and a mailing list. So from my standpoint, if you're at any of these points, you're serious about the game and it's time to, maybe take care of this sooner than later. If you're not there yet, then that's all right. I would suggest getting your game to one of these points before moving on. And in that case, like we're going to record this video. It's going to be on YouTube. So you won't miss out on anything. Come back when you're ready. But yeah. So one last thing before we kind of go on to our talk. There's going to be a lot of ground to cover here and some I'm going to try and keep things as simple as I can, but there's going to be some complex things that we're just going to have to breeze right through. So these are a lot of live demos here. essentially you're free to come back, watch the video, pause it, take care of the pieces and make sure that they're set up properly and take it at your own pace. The idea here is that we're going to cover things step by step by step by step by step so that each section builds off the other, and it'll show you a natural progression of I don't know anything to I have a website at a .com and a mailing list. So, cool. All right, so how that's going to look tonight is technology is building blocks. So this is the high level overview for tonight. So let's say level 1, create a simple mailing list. So easy place to start. Anybody can do this with minimal technology needed. Honestly, it can just be a piece of paper at a convention to start with, and then you move that to your a spreadsheet or something like that. Level 2, buying a .com. Level 3, building a simple web page, so getting one ready on your own personal computer. Level 4, putting that web page on the .com that you purchased. And then level 5, creating a powerful mailing list. Level 6, oh, that's right. We're going to connect that mailing list, that powerful mailing list, to your website with a nice little form, the landing page. And then if we've got time tonight, we're going to cover some Google Analytics, how you can add traffic tracking to your websites, and as well as an email address at your .com. So cool. Let's go back to create a simple mailing list. All right, level 1. Now there's plenty of reasons why you'll want to have one. Tonight, I'm not going to cover what those reasons are or why you would want them over like a Twitter or Facebook thing. A mailing list is going to be a way to get email sent out to people directly and quickly. So let's start with something really, really super basic here. And let's assume that you've got let's say just a Gmail email set up. So let's say that you've got, here we go, I've got some stuff in the pipeline here. Let's say that you've got a email set up for your game at gmail.com. So let's use my One Card Bluff game as an example. onecardbluff@gmail.com. I want to make a emailing list. So cool. One idea to make that happen is with a Google form. So here on Google Drive, pretty straightforward, new Google form. Let's make this, get out of here. Get out of here. Mailing list. Sign up for the One Card Bluff mailing list. You're going to want 2 things on this if you're collecting emails. So the first thing is, what's their name? So what is your name? They're going to give that to you there. And then we want a new question. We want, what is your short answer? And what is your email address? So that's the basics of a email list, right? You want their name and their email. What are you going to call them? So if I want to send that, I click the send button over here. It provides me with a link here. And if I pull up a website here and I send them this link, look at this. What's their name? Jamie, and my email address, my personal email is this. Bang, submit. Response has been submitted. You can send this to people directly, but we'll show you what some uses are for this soon. So now you can see that I filled out that thing, and there's a response. Oh, look at that, jb4gi@gmail.com. So I got my name and my email address. So now I can email that person. It's pretty good. For Google Forms, this little button right here in the responses, create a spreadsheet, will actually make it so that you can, so click the create a new spreadsheet, create, boom, boom, boom. This is going to bring you to a new tab, which is a Google Sheet, and it just puts things in nice spreadsheet format. So it gives you a time. They said that, got it. The time that they submitted it, what their name is, and their email. So this will be useful if this starts to get bigger as people fill it out. So cool. That's it. If we wanted to go to convention, you could actually pull up this link on an iPad and just like let it rip. You don't have to read people's terrible handwriting, or somebody typos something like or messes up while they're writing, or the pen runs out of ink. Like, as long as you got an iPad with a battery, you now have a way to get a mailing list sent out to people. Really simple, uh, great to start with. One thing to be aware of is that if you're building a game and you're getting an email list set up, is the CAN-SPAM Act, which is a US law related to email lists. I'll pull it up right now. Spam Act. There's a little summary here on the FTC webpage, but essentially, because you're building a product and you're kind of like a business at that point, some things you might want to be aware of, and this is not legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. You have to do your own research here. Is that you'll want to tell people where you're located. So like your emails that are marketing emails should actually have a valid postal address, and you need to tell them how to opt out of receiving future emails from you. So if you're going to sign people up, you need to put in that email that you send like your address and your how to opt out, essentially. And because this is not automated, you're probably gonna want to say something like, yeah, if you want to unsubscribe, just let me know and I'll do it for you. This is probably not too much to worry about when you're starting off and you just have a few people. Like, the people are going to be really excited to get your game. Like, again, not legal advice. Do your own homework there. But something I did want to point out is that there is actually some laws about how to get an email list set up and what you can and cannot do with it. So cool. So let's put this in our back pocket for now. We've got an email list sign up, and that's great. But we don't have a website. So we want to have a website. When somebody says, hey, I want to visit your game, they want to go somewhere, we want to point them to a place that's easy, ideally a .com. All right, so let's go back to level 2, which is buying your .com. A big chunk of this talk is going to be focused on AWS. So AWS is a technology called Amazon Web Services. So I assume everyone is familiar with Amazon.com. It's like the biggest online shopping thing in the world. It's one of the most popular websites in the world. AWS, right here, subsidiary of Amazon, essentially all the technology that's running Amazon.com, that's like providing millions and millions and millions of people visiting the site and buying things and interacting, and like, oh my goodness, it's crazy technology that they use. They've actually allowed the general public to use the technology that's powering Amazon for incredibly cheaply. It's unreal how cheap some of this stuff is, and it's extremely reliable. So as you can imagine, if Amazon.com is down for even a minute, just with the millions of people that are on that site constantly every second, like, that's huge for Amazon. They'll lose a ton of money. So they have every interest to keep it up. And so if it's like getting onto this platform gives you that sort of peace of mind that it's not going to go down, or if it does go down, it's going to get fixed real quick. And because they buy things at scale, like they're just such a massive global company, they buy hardware and software for just like pennies on the dollar, essentially. To put this in perspective, my web host, which is Xmission, and they're very good, it costs me $15 a month to host a website, just a normal.com, and $2 a month to host a single email. So that's $204 a year. For that same website and that same email address, if I do it all myself and like just plug it all in and hit the buttons and stuff on AWS, my costs are actually $20 a year. So that's literally 10% of what it would cost going through like a very good web host. It's extremely cheap to be on AWS. So that's why I'm going to be, and it's easy. It's like, it's straightforward to get things done if you have somebody walk you through them. So that's what we're going to cover tonight. So cool. Your .com. Let's jump right in. So let's assume I've logged into AWS. So this is what it looks like. Pretty nice. AWS has a ton of services. Like, they got to be close to 200 things. That's fine. Don't worry about it. The things that we're going to care about, I'll tell you what they are. And to get a .com, that service is called Route 53. Domain name registration. That's what we want. That's what a .com is. It's a domain name. So let's go in there. Route 53. All right. Now, again, you can do this through like a normal web host. Everybody's going to do it a little bit differently. This is just how Amazon works. So let's say I wanted to register a domain. Look at this right here. Register that thing. And I want to get a .com. So let's say I want to do Jamie has a really cool board game.com. Check that out. Look at that, 12 bucks, $12 a year. And I can register it for multiple years. If I want to go crazy and pay 10 years up front, I can do that. But essentially, if your game is like at one of those three places, you're pretty serious about it, it's $12. You might not get the domain name you want. So like, obviously I'm never going to get like jamie.com. There's no chance it's going to be available. Yeah, just like I thought. But for your game, it'll be there. So Jamie has a really cool board game icon. Let's go back. So you might need to figure that out. Somebody might already have the thing. You might want to make an adjustment. They give you some options, but it's $12. So let's say I want to continue with that. So I want to get that. I want to get that .com. You now need to punch in all your information. Phone number is included, like your address. You can enable some privacy protection. That's standard, which is great. So that people can only kind of contact you if there's a serious problem. Continue. All my information. Look, you got my mailing address now. You can send me nice letters and stuff. It's pretty great. Do you want to automatically renew your domain? Yes, no. I read the terms and conditions, and then complete your order. Now, no matter who you buy a domain name from, whether it's AWS or your own thing, it's going to take you about 24 hours for that thing to go through and be confirmed. So you're never going to be able to use your .com right away. So if I was to click complete order and I wanted to start doing it on that .com, it's not going to freaking work. Like you really do need to wait about 24 hours, maybe even 48 before that's set up. But luckily, I got a domain name in the oven. Actually, I got a whole bunch of domain names here. Look at this, pretty good. Let's focus on onecardbluff.com. So this is my registered domain. It's right here. It's set to auto renew. It's pretty great. Excellent. Here's the information about it. It's cool. When you're working with the domains, let's say it was in the pending process and I didn't have anything there yet. Like, so Jamie has a really cool game.com. If you've got a domain name but you haven't done anything with it, like you just purchased it, nobody's going to be able to find it. Like essentially if we're looking at like land as an example, you've bought a plot of land, but it's just like empty space. There's nothing there. So, your ISP or whoever is going to just say, hey, that thing doesn't exist. That's fine. If you've got the .com, it's yours. So like we'll do something with it soon. So don't worry. If it says, if you come in here and you've got it in the list, it's registered, you're good. Oh, in fact, it'll show up here in pending requests if you're in that 24-hour period. So, and then when it's registered, it'll show up in here and you'll be good to go. All right, cool. So that's step 2. You've bought your .com. Pretty simple on AWS. So that's good. Building a simple web page. All right, this is where things are going to start to get fun. I'm excited. So you've got your .com and you want to put something there. So let me actually, before I reveal Game Makers Guild secrets, let me pull up my technology talk page here. Now you all know what a website is. Like you've been to plenty of websites. You probably had to visit a website to even get into this group, meetup.com. But what you might not have done is looked under the hood of a website. And I'm going to show you how that works really quickly. So let's open up Notepad. Good old Notepad. This will be on a like Windows example, but I'm sure on a Mac it's extremely similar. So I want to make a web page. A web page is literally just a text file. Like this thing is just a blank web page, and it gets interpreted by your browser, Chrome, Internet Explorer, Firefox, or whatever. It takes in that text file and it says, oh, they want an image here and they want text here and they want that, and I'll make it pretty, boom. And then it's on the internet and it's great. So if I wanted to make a web page that was extremely simple, I'm going to come in here to Notepad. I'm going to save as. And in Windows, I'm going to switch from text documents down here to all files. And I'm going to say, make me a file called index.html. Boom. Now you'll notice that got put in my folder, and it actually shows up no longer as a text file. So if I was to make a normal text file, right, it's going to look like that .text. It actually looks like a Chrome link, which is pretty sweet. So that means that it's going to interpret that text file as a website that I can visit. So on my local machine, let's make a web page. All this is the simplest web page that you can make. Is this. So let's make it HTML. So that's the file we're working with. So we make a little less than sign, HTML greater than sign. That's called a tag. So how this works is on an HTML file, you have a start tag and an end tag that has a slash before it. So this is the start tag, this is the end tag. And that's just saying that this whole thing, everything between this is hypertext markup language .html. That's all it is. And what we now need are two other tags. So we need a head with a closing head. So every time you make something, you also want to close it out. And then I want a body tag with a closing tag. Body. The head is invisible. So that's some information that only the browser really cares about. And the body is what's visible. That's what you see when you visit your website. So if I was to say, this is the head and this is the body, and save that, and now I open that up. Oh, actually, give me 1 second. That's actually broken HTML. Let me make a title tag. Title, this is the head. Title. Close that. Save that. Okay, cool. So now I double click on that. It brings me here. And look at this. This is the head. That's the head, literally right there. And this is the body. This is like the simplest web page that you can make. So if you see, like, you go to Amazon.com, you go to Google, whatever, you see something, even this. Let's look at this. This is my notes for this GMG technology panel. If I was to look under the hood under here, open my little developer tools, look, this whole thing, if I was to shrink down this entire web page, HTML tag, head tag, body tag. And they got other stuff in here, but like that's it. That's a website. That's the skeleton of a website. Now I'm not going to cover necessarily how to like make your website look pretty and how to get it all set up nicely. But honestly, knowing this, if you just know these basics, you can start Googling around and figuring out how you want to like spruce things up. And I mean, I've got a website. Let me quickfightgame.com. And I mean, this did not take me too long to do. It's like you got a title there, you change some colors, make a little line, put an image there, some text. This is for my board game. Really simple, just like a single page website. What I recommend if you want to dig into this a little further, there is a book. It's $27. You can get it from Barnes & Noble, called HTML and CSS. It is the easiest like way that I found to learn how to build web pages quickly and make them look really nice. And it does not take a lot of work. For a game that's starting to get popular, starting to get the word out, honestly, a single page web page that's got your information, where they can contact you, and a mailing list sign up is going to help you, and people will be able to find you on Google. It'll be great. So let's assume that we've got a web page that looks a little bit nice. We've played around with it and we like how it looks. This only lives on our current on our local computer. Like this doesn't live anywhere else. It's not on our .com yet. So we need to get it there. So now that we're done with that, let's put that web page on our .com. Okay, so now we're going to get into the more technical stuff. Let me kill that. And I'm probably going to move a little bit fast here, which is fine. Don't get too scared. So on the internet, right? You've got a .com that you own, but that .com is not pointed to anywhere. It's just kind of hanging in space. What it wants to point to is a thing called a web server. A web server is a little computer that lives somewhere, could be anywhere, that has a thing called an IP address. That's like its location. Like if you lived on a street, I live on, that's my address. These web servers have addresses too. And so I've got one right now. That's I call it One Card Bluff. This is the machine, and it lives here at a public IP address 54.159.36.66. I found that in my EC2 dashboard. Don't worry about that right now. But essentially, every web server is it has an address and it contains a web page. And when you connect those two things together, it says, oh, onecardbluff.com. I am pointing that .com to this address. It's saying, cool, I know that there's a web server here and it hosts a web page, and now I'm gonna send that off to whoever wants it. So onecardbluff.com brings me to my web server. And if I was to punch in this address, you'll notice that it brings up the exact same site. So literally, this is the address, and my .com is simply pointing to this address. Same thing, literally the same thing. So how do we get that set up here? How do we do this? All right, so I mentioned AWS. You can license, like basically they let you use their technologies. EC2 is the service that allows you to build a web server. And so if you go into services, EC2 is the first one. You can type it in there, but that's here. EC2 is extremely cheap if you use the right sized computer. If I remember correctly, I'm spending $12 a year for like a web server that's just running constantly. So each of these little boxes is a computer that I'm essentially renting from Amazon, and it's absolutely dirt cheap. Now, if you want to make one, let's launch an instance. So there's a big orange box right here. Let's launch that instance. Now, here's where things are going to get complicated, and it's going to look real scary. And don't worry about it. I'm just going to breeze through this. There's a lot of stuff that you really don't care about. This is for people who are like deep into, I want a little Mac box or whatever. Amazon Linux 2 is a thing that you're going to want to grab. It's almost always going to be the first thing in the list, and it's in the free tier, which means that if you get a new Amazon account, it will, some of this stuff will actually be like free to you if you follow the right steps. So let's grab that. So Amazon Linux 2, don't care about anything else, select it. It is now going to default you to a T2 Micro, which is free tier eligible. So for the first 12 months of AWS, you can use 750 hours of this machine for free. Like you can just let it run, for like 3 months, and they won't charge you a penny. But for the sake of this, let's assume that you have an account for a while. T3 a Nano, T3A Nano is actually going to be like really cheap. I think this is like 2 cents per hour or something. Configure the instance details. Whoops, did I? Oh, I double clicked. Sorry. Configure the instance details. This should all be defaulted. There's nothing to worry about here. Again, a lot of stuff that you don't need to care about. Storage, just make sure this is set to 8. Everything else should be fine. Tags, I'm going to name it, this is my web server. Configure a security group. Yeah, let's make this thing. So this is going to be web server security. So by default, anything that you create here in AWS is just going to be locked down. Nobody's going to be able to access it. So you need to open that up. So HTTP, HTTPS. Again, don't need to worry about any of this stuff. Just copy what I'm doing, and you'll be fine. In the type drop down, click HTTP, and then allow it from anywhere. And then add a rule. There should be an HTTPS down here. Allow that from anywhere. And that's right. And then SSH from my IP. This is my computer's address. This is how I get on the internet. And it'll change depending on who you are. So cool, that looks great. Review and launch. None of this matters. Launch that up. Now this is gonna generate a key pair. So this is like a security thing. It's called a .pem file. So this will just be my security key. Click the download key pair. Save this to Technology Talk. Boom. This is keep this somewhere safe where you won't forget it. Don't lose it. But essentially, we're not going to need this. We're going to do something else that'll be fine. So launch the instance. Boop, 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 boop. Let's view the instance. All right, so it's pending. This will take like 30 seconds or so to spin up. Web server. Oh, it's already up and running. That was quick. Let me take a look at the thing I want to look. Screenshot. So there's actually a computer. This is like a computer that's running, and I can look at what it's currently doing in screenshot form. And once I see it says login here, I know it's ready. So cool. I've built a web server, and it lives here at the public IP address of 54.152.54.219. So it's got an address. That's awesome. Let's log into it. So now there is a AWS service called Systems Manager. Actually, I think I can connect. That's fine. Session Manager. Give me 1 second. All right, yeah. So, all right, Systems Manager. So at the top, Systems Manager. We want to connect to this thing. Click on that. On the left, there's a thing called Session Manager. This is so many tabs. Don't even worry about this. This is all garbage. Session Manager is one we care about. So click that. We want to connect to this web server and do some stuff with it. So start a session. And this is going to take probably a few minutes. So let me just jump right into... Actually, no, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I can fix this. Let me fix this real quick. Don't pretend you don't see anything. Just don't even worry for the next 6 minutes. No, I'm kidding. Give me just 1 second. I'll figure this out. We're going to make one mistake tonight, and this is the place that I made it. So... Okay, all right. Let me... There's a security role that I created that I was supposed to walk through, and of course I forgot to do that. So I'm going to try and explain that in just a second. I want this thing. Go there, please. Okay. Sorry. Before you connect to it, you go into this thing called IAM, which is Identity Access Manager. You click in here. I forgot to do this as part of the setup. It's fine. Go into roles, create a role. We're going to create it for EC2. That's where our web server lives. And we're going to add SSM. Oh, which ones do I want? I want SSM full access. Just type that in, click that box, and you're gonna let me create it? Okay, I'm gonna post a thing in the YouTube instructions about how to do this. I've got one in the oven already. For some reason, it's not letting me click next, so that's fine. That's fine. Don't even worry about it. Systems manager. We're back here. System manager, session manager. Start. We're gonna connect to one that's already created, One Card Bluff. So here's a web server. Brings us to a little terminal, just like the old computers of yesteryear. These commands, you can just copy paste them in. It'll be fine. This is just computer magic here. Sudo su. That's going to give you like super user control over this machine. And then the commands I want are listed right here. Look, you can see my history of things. This is nice. So you type in yum update. I'll copy that, paste it in. That is essentially just going to update your web server just to make sure everything's up to date. Look, it barely updated anything. And then you're going to want to do a thing called yum install httpd. Now you remember we made an HTTP file. HTTPD is a program that essentially is able to take a HTTP file and then display it as a web page. So that's how your web server works. So just punch that in, hit enter, say yes, and then when it's done, you type in service httpd start. And then what you have there is the ability to host a web page. That web page is going to be located in a folder called /var/www/html. That's where you're going to put the web page when you're done. So let's punch that in real quick. So cd var www.html. Bang. We're there. Let me remove a thing real quick. And then come right back. Come right back, please. All right, so if I list ls, show me what's there. There's a bunch of crap in here. Yours will probably be empty, but I was messing around, so we got some stuff here. And now I want to make a web page. I want to take this thing that I made earlier that's on my local computer and put it on the web server. So I'm going to copy this, just Control C. I'm going to use a program that's like Notepad. It's called VI. So I'm going to say VI index.html. Go in this. You don't need to know how it works. This is all computer magic. Type the letter I to begin inserting text. And then I'm going to right click, paste. There we go. And I'm going to hit Control. Oh, no, sorry. I'm going to say I Control. Oh my God. Give me 1 second. All right, sorry. Escape. I is to insert, escape is to stop inserting. So rusty. And then colon. So type in colon and then type in WQ. Again, computer magic for save and quit thing. So that's done. So now what I've done, let's go back to the AWS panel here. Let's go back to EC2. That's where the web server lives. Go to my running instance. I'm not using this web server anymore because I friggin' messed it up. So let's go to this One Card Bluff. That's what we're currently looking at. It's got an IP address, so 54.159.36.66. So let's take a look at that. I punch this in. and refresh. Sorry, I had to cache that. Look at that. I took the web page from my computer and I put it on the web server, which is, let's do ls again. There it is, index.html. So it's in that var cd, I'm sorry, var www.html folder. Index.html files here. I copied and pasted stuff into it with this vi index.html command. That's what it looks like. Again, wq to get out of there. And boom, I now have a web page and it exists at this address, which is super, super, super cool. We've done like a crazy amount of work in literally like 45 minutes. And again, if your web page looks nice, like if you actually made it look good, then this is going to look great. So cool. We now have a web page that exists on a web server, but we need to get it to that .com, right? So it's not on the .com yet. Let's now take care of that. Let's go back to Route 53, which is where we bought the .com earlier. Got that going on. And we've got our hosted zones. That's what Amazon calls it. So your website. OneCardBluff.com. That's the website that we're working on. Boom. Get that there. And now let me just pretend that this doesn't exist. Just close your eyes. You're going to have some stuff in here that's auto-populated. Yours might look different. That's fine. But essentially, they give you a .com and they set some records up to, I think this is a certificate of, or statement of ownership, authority? I don't freaking know. All this stuff just says that you own this .com and don't mess with it. It's fine. Just leave it alone. All right, so create a record. Boop. I now want to say this .com should go to this web server, and it has an address, which is right here, public IPv4 address right here. So I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to go to Route 53, and I want a simple route. So this is defaulted. It's called an A record. So it's going to route traffic to an IPv4 address, which is what we just typed in, and paste that right here. Boom. 54.159.36.66. I'm just going to set this for, I don't know, 60 seconds. That's fine. Create the record. Take us a minute. And now here is the A record it created. Again, you don't need to care about really any of this. Just punch things into the text boxes. But it's saying that, all right, OneCardBluff now has an A route, simple route, to this address, which is our web server. And in a minute or two, and it will take a minute or two, if you type in your .com here, it is going to show you the web page that's hosted on a web server. Again, this is the address of your web server that you just put that little web page on. And this is the .com pointed to that same address. It's just displaying the exact same thing here. And boom, you've now completed level 4. You've now put that web page on your computer onto your .com. And let me show you just as another little quick example of how easy this can be. So I've got a bunch of websites in here. Got so many things. OneCardBluff. Oh yeah, you can right click on any HTML file on your computer. If it keeps opening in Chrome, you can open with Notepad. And boom, here's my actual like real web page here. It's very, very straightforward. It's again, HTML head body stuff in there. Copy that. I'm going to go back to my little web server right here. I am going to hit I to insert, and I'm just going to delete everything. So I'm just kill everything. Here is my actual web page. So I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to right click in here. I'm going to paste. I'll paste this plain text. Why not? Escape to get out of insert mode. :WQ. Enter. I've now updated that little website that lives here in the var www HTML folder. And now if I go and refresh this, this is the address of the web server. Here's my actual website. Look at that. That was so quick, so simple. all there is to it. And now my .com again, because it's pointed at that thing, I refresh it. Boom, I have a web page here. Pretty sweet. All right, so now we've accomplished that. Let's jump back here. That was a lot. Covered a lot of ground here. Now we want to, right. Let's say we want to put that mailing list that we created earlier, right here, into that web page. So let's say that, again, you just want a basic, you just want it so that when you go to your gameswebsite.com, all there is a mailing list there. Really simple, nothing to it. Let's go back to our Google Doc. We are going to send this, but we want to click this little tag right here, HTML tag. And it says that you can embed the HTML. So let's copy this. Literally just copy that thing. Go back in here. I'm going to remove that index file with rm index. That's just going to delete it. I'm going to say yes. Now if I look, you'll notice index is gone. It's not there anymore. So let's make a new one, index.html, and put that thing there. So this is the thing that Google gave us. I clicked I to insert, and I pasted it in. So let's just make it a real web page. So /HTML. We want to head. Close that, please. And then in the body is the thing that's visible. The head is the thing that's invisible. Body, that looks great. Escape, :WQ, bang. Let's go back to our web server. And look, it's just now, so that we've got that on our web server. Here's the little mailing list thing. And now if I go to onecardbluff.com, look at this. It's just a mailing list. So now you've got your game. You want to get the word out about it and email them. You can literally send them to yourgame.com, and there's a sign up for your mailing list right there. Nice and quick and easy. Cool. Now, let's say that you are getting more people interested in your game. Like the word's getting out there. Your email list is no longer, a thing that you can just manage quickly. Like, it's like, oh man, I don't want to keep BCCing like, 20, 30, 40 people or sending individual messages to them. Like it doesn't scale. Let's make an actual powerful mailing list. My recommendation for this is MailChimp. MailChimp is free if you've got less than 1,000 people on your mailing list. You can go to MailChimp.com and just sign up with an email, and they'll get you in pretty quickly. And yeah, essentially, it's free up until you get 1,000 people, which at that point, that's a good problem to have. And like, maybe it's worth it to keep paying for it. But essentially, you jump in here to MailChimp, and you can actually click here on audience and add subscribers. So let's say you've got people sign up for your mailing list. There's a bunch of them. And you're like, okay, I want to move to MailChimp. You click that, and there's actually a important audience feature here. Click that, copy and paste from a spreadsheet, continue to upload. And it says all you need to do is set up your spreadsheet in this format with an email address, first name, last name, and then their address if you got one. And so like that might involve you having to like shuffle some things around. Yeah, okay, fine. It's like some of that. Use copy instead. Okay, copy, please. There we go. So like you just punch that in, set the status as subscribed. You can tag them if you want. I don't think you need any of that. Continue to match. That's fine. Yeah, finalize the import. You can literally just dump your whole thing in here and you'll be good to go. Yeah, I want to leave. Once that's done, so you've imported your old spreadsheet email list into MailChimp, you can actually start emailing people. So if I want to do that, I want to create right here an email. I want to call this the One Card Bluff Jan update. Begin. All right, cool. So that now it's gonna use the email that you initially sent, or you initially signed up with. So I signed up with onecardbluff@gmail.com. So it's gonna say that that's who that's coming from. So it knows who I am because I registered. You can add a subject. So this is gonna be again the One Card Bluff January update. Save that. Content. Now I want to design my email. I'm going to use, sure, I've never used this before. Yeah, show me the new builder. This is going to be the new thing. All right, cool. So now you have some power here. Like it actually will provide you with a nice professional interface to build an email. So over here, it's looking for a logo. You can click this to replace it. And now I can upload, let's do Game Ideas, One Card Bluff. I've got a logo here. And look at that. Here we go, logo horizontal, I'll do that. Got a logo for my game. Nice. It's January. Hooray. I can't type today. This is great. Hey there, person. This is the update. And like any other like website builder or whatnot, like you can mess around here. You can add photos, you can add text, you can do whatever you want. But one thing that's super nice about MailChimp is that if you've been collecting like that person's first name and you import it into the proper format, you can actually click this merge tags button and say first name. It is going to put this little colored block here. It says F name in there. And now what's going to happen is it's going to send the same email to everybody on my list, but when they get it, it's going to say like, hey there, Jeff. Hey there, Lauren. Hey there, Shannon. Like each of you, it's going to feel like it was, I mean, it's a marketing email, but like it's going to be their name, and you can integrate it seamlessly, and you don't have to keep sending individual emails to people. It's just a really, really nice feature of MailChimp to make your life easier. It will also put some stuff in here that you can't really change. Like I mentioned the CAN-SPAM Act. You have to put your address in at the bottom, and it's going to force you to do that. It's going to have an unsubscribe link because, again, that's legally required. So you have to do that there. You can't really adjust this. But once you're done, once you have a really cool email done, you can hit continue. So you finish the design of your email. And then almost finished. Oh, I do have to save this. Sorry. I meant to do that. And then cool. So now you've done your email, and now you can either send it immediately, it'll just blast it out to everybody, or you can schedule it, which is super nice. So like let's say you want it to happen I don't know, Monday. Oh, you've got to upgrade. You got to upgrade. Never mind. If you get the paid version, you can do all this. I don't have access to it because it's free, but send it when you're ready. So when you're ready, it's all saved in here. You can pull it up and just fire away. There are so many other like cool things about MailChimp that you can dive into. Again, this is just showing you the basics, but it's an incredibly powerful platform, and it will even tell you like which people opened your email, which like how much time did they spend looking at it, like which links did they click on. It just gives you such good information about what's going on and how people are responding. And the one last thing I want to cover here is connecting this mailing list to your website. So right now, onecardbluff.com is using this Google form. What we want to do is transfer over to MailChimp. So how this works is go to your audience. So this is your normal dashboard here, audience dashboard, and then sign up forms. And then embedded forms right here. This is the one you want, select that. This is now gonna let you create a nice little form for your website. So you can collect their email address, their first name, last name, and then how do I show only required fields? Condensed. I was trying to figure out if I needed that birthday thing here, but that's fine. But just like we did with the Google form, right? So it just gave us some embedded HTML and we just dumped it in. This is the same thing here. It's just going to give you a big block of text. Let's copy that. Let us go back to our little web server here. Again, I want to remove that old index file. Actually, no, I'll keep the old index file. I'll jump right in. VI index HTML. Tab I to start editing this. I want to remove the old Google form. That's gone. And I'm going to right click to paste in that MailChimp, which is going to be much larger. Don't get scared. It's huge. Cool. That's everything to do that form. Hit escape. :WQ. Save. Let's go back to my, actually, we know that the web server works, so we don't need to care about the address anymore. Let's just go to onecardbluff.com. And now if I refresh this Google form is going to go away and the MailChimp form is going to be all that's left. So let's refresh. Boom, look at that. This now, instead of going to that old Google form and in here where we have to manually deal with it, now every time somebody goes to onecardbluff.com, they are able to just punch in their web or their email, punch in their first name and their last name, and then put their birthday. You can't know my birthday. And then subscribe, and they're in. They're literally in. MailChimp is amazing in that it will alert you when they get when you get a subscriber, and you can just go from there. Like, just start harvesting those email addresses and start sending them like a monthly update. It is so powerful and it's so good to use. Yeah, to cover actually some things I skipped over in the Google Doc thing. There is actually a way to get a notification in here. I believe it's in responses. You can click on this and get email notifications for new responses. So you can actually get that from here as well. But yeah, so like literally that was exactly 1 hour, and we have covered getting a mailing list going in multiple formats, building and installing a web server and getting that .com, and putting a web page up where all that's there is a nice little email sign up form. So now if I want to get the word out about One Card Bluff, I can literally tell anybody, go to onecardbluff.com. Like if you're interested, you like it, just sign up right there. I can go to convention, I can go to the places I'm submitting, the game to, and everybody now has a way to sign up for the email list, and like I can fill this with other information about the game, put a trailer up. Like, the world is my oyster. But yeah, that is what we've covered in just 1 hour. Literally, so much stuff. We have run out of time, so maybe if we have some time during the Q&A, we'll cover Google Analytics and maybe getting an email address, so like Jamie at onecardbluff.com in AWS. But yeah, let's tie things up right there for now. And so yeah, if you like this talk, whoops, I gotta go back. Yeah, there we go. You like this talk, and you want to know more information on my game design articles and other things, you can go to boardgamefightclub.com. That's where I keep all my articles and cool things I've been working on. And if you have feedback on this talk, I know it got a little messy in there with the web server stuff, but feel free to send it to Jamie at boardgamefightclub.com and I'll get that. Cool. Wow, what a wild ride. That was fun. Let us now move to the Q&A session. So let me stop sharing my screen, and I will I'll keep my screen shared open in case we go over more stuff, but feel free to cameras on if you got any questions.
Hey, Jamie, shouldn't it be onecardbluff.com?
You're correct. Yes, Jeff.
Hey, Jamie,
S-
wild question. What if I had a domain registered somewhere else and I wanted to bring it over to AWS?
Uh, that is a fantastic question, and that was a thing I did a lot at my previous job. I can actually talk you through that. This is going to involve a little bit of work, so that it might take you an hour just to do that transfer, but it's possible. It's absolutely possible. So let's go back to, actually we're already here, Route 53. So if I type in Route 53 here in AWS, now there's some documentation on this. I think you can literally Google it, like move domain to AWS, and it'll be a step-by-step walkthrough of what to do. But to give you like the quick what it's going to look like, it's going to have you create a hosted zone. So right now, it has automatically generated a hosted zone for all the websites I own that I bought with AWS. I bought it here, so now it's here. Whatever. But let's say I wanted to move another website over. I wanted to move Board Game Fight Club over. I would create a hosted zone. So this is going to be boardgamefightclub.com. It's a public hosted zone. It's available to the public. Create that. This will take a minute. And now it's going to create me some records here. So this is, again, I think this is like some service of authority or something. But what it's going to do is it's going to say, hey, I've set up these records because I want to host this domain now. I want this .com to live in AWS. So AWS is now set up these records to make that happen. What you need to do now is go talk to your website, your web host, and say, hey, I want to move this domain over to AWS. How can can you update the records? And you'll need to do a little bit of a back and forth between, they'll say like, okay, here's the thing to punch into the NS record, or they'll just do it. If you got a good web host, they'll just take care of it. But there's going to be a little bit of back and forth with this page and these records. And again, there's documentation if you just Google move domain to AWS. Yeah, here we go. First thing, transferring registration for a domain to Amazon Route 53. There's going to be a step-by-step
Wow.
thing, literally step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4,
Never mind
and
that.
yeah, you'll talk through it with your account person.
Cool. Thanks, Jamie.
Yeah, I had a similar question because I registered a domain name for the game I'm working on now,
Yep.
which you're all familiar with, and I also bought a web forwarding option.
Mhm.
Now, this is something you can do yourself. I mean, it doesn't. You don't really have to dive into the guts of the program. Or at least I wasn't required to. And it seemed like an elegant solution, but I don't know if AWS allows you to do that, or do you have to go under the hood, or?
So when you mean web forwarding,
Yeah,
do you
it's
mean
actually a function that um, you buy it at the same time you're buying your domain name,
Yep.
and it's like a kit. And how long is web forwarding?
Okay. Yeah, this is
It was out of Network Solutions. Yeah, I
yep.
don't know
So
if that's unique to them or what, but it's the only one I ever used.
yeah, so domain forwarding really simply is just saying you can redirect multiple domain names to the
Yeah,
same
it's a
website.
redirector. That's right.
Yep. So how that works in Route 53. So let's say, this will be fun. Let's go crazy here.
Decent question.
Yeah, no, that's a fair question. First, let me get rid of this other thing. I'm not gonna transfer Board Game Fight Club over here. Let's say for One Card Bluff, I wanted to redirect this to another web page I owned.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do, let me delete this A record. That's the one that's pointing to my web server.
Don't do something you might regret.
It's fine. It'll be fine. Here we go. So I'm simple routing. So I want to create a new record, simple routing. Instead of an A record, which is pointing to the IP address of a web server, I want to point to another .com. So that's a CNAME record. So you'll see here, routes traffic to another domain name.
Okay.
And then I want it to be
It's like
another
an
record.
Huh?
Oh, this is going to want you to set it all up. Give me 1 second. Search for hosted zone. Oh, never mind, never mind. No, I'm boardgamefightclub.com. Sorry, I'm illiterate, so.
No, I was able to follow most.
Valid. CNAME with DNS name is not permitted at Apex. Oh, it's okay. It's not gonna let me right now. I'll need to check up on this. There might be like a security thing in place because this domain name is so new. I'll double check. It should be possible.
Yeah. So I don't know if I should renew that portion of the domain name this month. I think I will anyway.
Well, so Lauren, you bring up a great point about like sort of domain names in terms of like how long do you want to keep them around for? So one thing to be aware of is if you buy a domain name, you spend $12, right? And you get a .com. If you just do that as an experiment, like, and if you're happy to lose it, like you don't put anything there, you just hold on to it, like, and it expires and it doesn't renew and it's gone forever. And it's like, if you didn't, like, it's no harm, no foul, like you don't care. But if you have been using that and you do have stuff there, and then people start to link to it, one of my pieces of advice is like you're probably not going to want to let that ever expire. If there's now traffic flowing to that .com, if people are actively using it and linking to it, and it's like, people are finding it. If you let it expire, literally anyone can buy it.
Yeah.
Like, and that could be like, maybe you could buy it again, maybe, but maybe somebody, like maybe a friend buys it, or like maybe, somebody who is a bad actor buys it, right? Like
squatter. Yeah.
yeah, like who knows? So essentially, like, now that I've started to link to these websites, right? Like I've got my bingo party packs, and I've got my quick fight game. I've seen this plenty of times where people will start building their game, making a website in a .com, have a bunch of places linked to it, and then they let their domains expire. It's like, I could literally buy that right now and start directing your traffic to like my games if I wanted to. Like, there's nothing, only the kindness of my heart is stopping me. But at the same time, it's like, if that .com is valuable or that link is valuable, like a spammer could just as easily get it. And it's like, you never know what kind of pick your poison situation you're going to end up in there.
Yeah. No, I was probably premature, having gone through all the development I've gone through at GMG.
Yep.
But I decided to keep it anyway, so I still have it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you plan to use it, like, again, it's like $12 a month or something, or $12 a year.
A little more than that, but
okay.
It's a business expense.
Yeah.
You can write that off.
Right. Great question, though, Lauren. Jake, did you have a question?
Yeah, I don't know if this is off topic, but you've been down this road before. You've set up a website. What, in your experience, what sort of numbers and engagement do you look for in your metrics when you launch one of these things? And what are some other tricks that you've seen in raising those numbers up?
That is a phenomenal question. In fact, that ties into the Google Analytics stuff. So let's take a look at that.
I got paid to segue you into that. That was a sponsored segue.
That was phenomenal. Oh, actually, I got to use my actual Google Analytics. 1 second. I'm in like a browser incognito so that I don't log myself out everywhere. Okay, so this is Google Analytics, analytics.google.com. Essentially, what this does, and I will show you with the with my One Card Bluff website. So here's my index.html. I'm going to open that with Notepad. This is my website. what Google Analytics does is it says, I'm going to give you a little block of HTML, this script thing right here. Put that between your head tag. So here's the head tag. Just drop it right underneath it. And now Google's going to start tracking people like as they move through your site and as they come to you, and it's going to store everything here. And so this is an example of like just a really simple, this is my One Card Bluff webpage. So you'll notice that there was a huge spike on Monday, the 21st of December and Tuesday, 22nd of December. It looks like there were about 80 to 90 users each day taking a look at this .com. And I know what that is. That's because I made a Reddit post about how I made this game and it was a single card, like direct correlation of nobody visiting to all of a sudden now people know about it. And I've got a link from Reddit to my page. So now Google has a way to find it. Like, it's pretty sweet. There's an acquisition report here. So if I click on that, it will actually show me where they came from, which I think is...
Ooh, that's really invasive.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this isn't the worst of it. But right here, I can click the drop down of user source. And mostly, I know these are mostly from Reddit, but it looks like some people, well, maybe they copy and pasted the .com, and that's what this direct is from. But I can even see, look, some people are coming from old.reddit.com. Like I have that fine level of detail. Somebody found it on Facebook, so somebody must have shared it on their Facebook page and then like got there through that. But in terms of, let's look at like an actual game that I've had for a while, or like my actual board game website. It's Board Game Fight Club. So I click into here. This is where all the things are stored. I go to Board Game Fight Club, all website data, click on that. Home. And now this thing has some serious traffic. Like I have, a couple 1,000 or so people that visit every day.
Every day?
Yeah. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. This might be an average. This might be a rolling average. This looks like it might be 100 people per day.
That's still impressive.
Yeah. I've had this website up for years. And honestly, if I can I go back to like...
So you must have some resources people want on those pages, right? I mean, it's not just sell, right?
Say that once more, Lauren.
It's not just a sell thing. You've got some resources people want, like articles,
Yes.
how-tos, things like that.
Yes. So you can, this spike is probably just from Google, maybe? No. Okay, I remember this. All right, so you can see, here's my traffic over time, right? Friggin' nobody visited this site for like a year or two. Absolutely nothing. The first article that I did that actually got some attention, so this is how do you boost numbers? That was your question, Jake. So if you can make an article that people are actually interested in, like something that you've done that has not been explained before, that is like gold.
Yes.
And for me, that article was, where are all the legacy games? Like, where are they? There were a few. There were like less than 10 of them. Still, like, where have they been? So I literally like did some digging, wrote an article on that, posted it here, like, because I thought that was an interesting question. And I design legacy games, and mine is taking a super long time. So like I was like, let me just post my experience. So I posted it. I put it on a few places like Reddit. I let some folks know. And that's what that massive traffic spike was. Like suddenly I think on one day I did a bunch of like blasts to people, and I had 700 people view that article like that day. They thought it was interesting. They shared it with people, and you can see after that point, like just a little bit of traffic every day from that period.
Halo effect there.
Yep. And doing more articles like that and sharing them out. Like, again, this was probably another article, this tiny little spike here, but it wasn't interesting to people, so it didn't move the needle, but it's still something. Like, it's still a little bit. But I had another one that was actually just an index, like something I had a hard time finding on the internet that, honestly, it's not even like really board game related, but it was something I thought was relevant to my games and what I was working on, was this list right here, this link. every Twitch chat integrated video game. I was actually looking for this and couldn't find it on my own. And I was like, oh, well, I have a video game that like it's a board game that I made a video game and it's got Twitch chat integration. So like, let me make the list and add my game to it. And it's literally just like this list didn't exist on the internet. This was actually really hard to do the research on this, and my game is there. Like I put it in the list myself.
Well, you
Uh,
earned it.
Right? Yeah. Like I did the work. But like
How
I
long
think
did all that take?
this took like a few days, I think, to
Mhm.
actually do the research on this to put it together. But yeah, so I put that there, and I have never told anybody about it. I have literally like not shared it. I've not like put it on the internet. Like I've done nothing with it. But
Friends of
it-
yours did.
no, so Google knows. So because I was looking for it and I couldn't find like if I was looking for like I literally was like every Twitch chat integrated video game, and there was nothing here. There's no list. And now it's like
There's a list.
I'm the first result. Yeah, like that literal thing that I punched into my search bar that I couldn't
Okay.
find. I put it on my website, told no one about it, but Google was like, "Oh, I freaking know." Like, and I'm going to tell people when they search that same thing because you are now like the answer to that question.
You are the
Mhm.
guru.
There,
so-
there isn't 26 on that list, are there? No, just kidding.
okay.
Because the next article down is the 26 best. Maybe they just took your article and put a number on it.
I'm sure that- I'm sure
Getting
they
that
did.
search height for, I don't know what the real term for it is, but you've also linked to different websites in that article too, right?
Yes, all the places
live,
where you can
yeah.
buy those games and the studio, I've linked to them. So like
Mm-hmm.
I'm sending links out, which is a sign that like, as long as they're legitimate, I'm not like trying to spam nobody or anything. Google will say like, "Oh, this website actually cares like about sending traffic to other places, like it's a legitimate website." So
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of goodwill here.
yeah, I mean, I wanted this information. It was really hard for me to find because I'm somebody who's in that community. So I was like, I'll just throw them all together, and like
Mm-hmm.
you can. This really was around this time, and there's just a permanent like boost.
So the analytics must have surprised you, huh?
Yes, yeah, it was, and you can see that's actually my number one visited web page like daily. Right, so I got 348 views in the past 7 days,
Oh, you can't.
just from that thing that I've never published, like I've never shared it. 38 views just today, but
Oh, I want some of that. I'm gonna do some writing.
yeah, yep. But so to your point, Jake, how do I boost like my numbers once I got the website? That's a great tactic. Is if you do a Google search that's relevant to your game and you can't find an answer, do the research and just slap it on there. Like you don't even have to tell anybody. Google will eventually find you, and you'll be the person to answer. But also one of the best things that you can do is write an article on somebody else's webpage that's popular. If
Mhm.
you can do a guest post or like we got Marcus in the chat, like Marcus, if you had an article about like OctoChef, like how I designed a game that won Cardboard Edison, and you just talked about your design process for another website that like has a bit of an audience, you now have other websites linking to your websites, which is going to boost you from Google's standpoint. Google's going to look at your website and say, "Oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. Like other people are sending traffic this way." That's now going to increase your placement in Google searches.
Good idea.
Yeah. Arguably the best way for a starting game designer to get their .com to be higher rated on Google searches is to have other people link to you, and guest posting is like a tremendous way to do that.
How do the traditional game websites like Board Game Geek fit into this?
Yeah, so Board Game Geek is interesting. From a search engine standpoint, Board Game Geek operates kind of like a big database, like IMDb,
Yes.
where they collect information on things. And so what that means is they have a ton of websites pointing to them, which gives them a lot of, it's called authority. And so like when you type in a lot of games, like Board Game Geek is almost definitely, like if I was to type in Carcassonne, right? Or Carcassonne,
Right there, huh?
yeah, it's number one. Like, because so many people are pointing to Board Game Geek, like they have thousands and hundreds of thousands of people linking to their site. They are going to dominate the search engine results because so many people are pointing to Board Game Geek.
And there's
Oh
so
man, I want to be the 100,000th review of Carcassonne. Look at that, 99955.
You're so close.
What I know is once something has 99,000 reviews, what it needs is my input.
Yeah. One thing that's a little odd, and honestly, like this might be fine. If I've got a game called Quick Fight, right? Quick Fight, a legacy game. And I'm pretty sure that, like, yeah, BoardGameGeek.com is actually like above my result because it's just such, Board Game Geek is such a dominating figure. And honestly, it's like as soon as your game gets on Board Game Geek, they're gonna just crush a Google search. So what you want to do is like get your Board Game Geek page set up and then make absolutely sure that you have your website link there.
Oh, and there it is. Wow.
Because not only is that going to let people know how to find you directly,
Right.
but now you have Board Game Geek, which is this massive, like, high-ranking Google search. Now they're pointing to you, right? So now that's going to boost your .com, your website.
Yeah.
They're probably still going to be number one, like regardless of what you do, but at least use them to your benefit.
Yeah, I figured they were part of the ecology. I just didn't know how, because you're giving us such wonderful stuff on how to get the word out. I just
Yeah.
wondered how they fit in.
Fantastic question.
Yeah.
Really good, Lauren.
And you get ratings too.
Yeah, those will come once your game gets into real people's hands.
Right.
Cool. What else do we got out there? Any other questions?
I'm going back to mailing lists for a second. Can you
Yeah.
set it up to like send an introductory email when someone signs up?
Yes. Yeah. So I have my own personal take on this, which people, you can do what fits with your games and what you want to do. If you go to Create, so we're back in MailChimp, you go to Create. There's a customer journey
Oh my God.
email. And if I remember correctly, this is the place. Yeah, welcome new contacts.
Oh,
So
boy.
I think you can click on this single email. So look, quickly set up an automated email when someone signs up or interacts with your brand.
It's your own e-ticket, right?
Yep. And so you can, same thing that we did before. You begin it.
MailChimp.
This takes a second. You design the email. It's literally the same format as before. Design the email, and then that will, as soon as somebody signs up for your email list,
Their name
it'll
is-
send them that email.
Yeah.
My personal take on that is that if you are a small indie studio or you're just a one-person operation, I feel like people will prefer either a handwritten or like a very simple email introduction, like to show that you're paying them a little more care and attention. The feedback that I've gotten from a few people is that, like, when they get that automated welcome message, it's like, oh, they don't really care about me.
Or no
Make them
response.
wait for you to call. Don't call right after the first date.
Yeah, it's one of those. So I personally don't use this single welcome thing. What I like to do is get that notification and then have a pre-made welcome email ready to send to them. Like, if it's manual, fine. Or I think I've got on my other account, like, I've got an email template that's ready to just send. But there's actually there's some delay between them signing up and
Just
them
send it
getting
to
an
a
email.
really slow server.
Yeah, there you go. Send it to a server that's real slow. But great question. I like that one.
I like MailChimp.
Any other questions?
Oh, legacy games. These are where
Sure.
you have conditions at the end of a game which are inherited in the next game, right?
Yeah, that's a piece of it.
That's only a piece of it.
Yeah, in fact, I've got a definition of what is a legacy game
Oh,
that I
there
spent
it is.
days researching.
You're gonna get some. You're gonna get a spike. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, this one's important.
Thank you, Jamie.
You're welcome.
You got yourself in trouble. You know, you
Uh,
let out the Earl.
Yep. Anything else? You all have been a great audience, by the way. This has been
Yeah,
fantastic.
have we exhausted you?
No, I like talking.
Yeah, I think we should create a subgenre of legacy prototypes. What do you think? That each one is
Ooh.
destroyed after you go to the next. Never
Ooh.
mind.
Yeah, you finish one game and then have to design your next game to continue playing.
The playtesters are allowed to make one change.
Oh my god, that would be the oh it would be sweet justice to have the playtesters see where their feedback would lead the game.
I love it.
You want more rules? Let's see what happens.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. Let's just this is covering pretty much everything that we want to do with the talk. I did want to show off. So for those of you that are still brave and want to stick around, and we'll put this will be in the video too. Analytics. So I didn't cover how to actually create like the analytics thing for your website and connect it. Pretty straightforward. So you go, let me kill all this legacy game crap. Go to admin. This is your little settings thing here. And you go to, I believe it's, what is it? Get out of here. Bunch of stuff that pops up. It's account user management. And then here it's create property. So a property is like Google Analytics for like what's your .com called. So you create a property. This is going to be, onecardbluff.com. Next. It asks you a bunch of crap, games, I'm a small business, whatever, and create. And so what that's going to do is it's going to give you your little Google Analytics like code, which exists here in tracking info. And I think, let me just double check. Yeah, here we go. All right, so you go to tracking info, tracking code. This little tag right here, literally all you do is copy it, go to your website, and again, inside your head tag, you literally just like drop that thing in, save it, upload it, and Google Analytics will start within like hours. I think it will start to track information about your website. Just like we did with the other things where we like took the HTML that they gave us, we copy pasted it in. You do the same thing here, except you put it in the invisible head section at the top. And it's literally that simple. You could make that simple web page we made earlier, right? With this thing right here, you just put it in the head tag. So here's the head tag. Boom. Save it. Upload it to your web server. You're now tracking everything. So good. So that's how you do that. Let me think if there was anything else. Oh yeah, this is going to be a topic for another day, I think. Or if you are watching this video and you're interested, and you get to this point, it's real advanced. Amazon has a thing called SES, which is Simple Email Service. It's actually really stupidly complicated because Google doesn't want, or Amazon doesn't want people to freaking just like easily spam thousands of people using their technology. So there's like a few hoops that you have to jump through to get it working. And honestly, I still don't have it set up exactly how I want it, but I'm close. But I do have my domain connected. So One Card Bluff is in here. I'm verified. And then I've got, here's my email addresses. Where'd it go? That's thing in here. Promise this is here somewhere. It doesn't freaking matter. You know, it doesn't matter. I promise I have a email address verified, and it's jamie@onecardbluff.com, and it's all done through AWS. And like what it does is anybody is sending an email to that, it just sends it to my personal email address so I can send it. And I can also send MailChimp as jamie@onecardbluff.com. So my email address looks legitimate and everything is above board, and it's like nice. But yeah, let me know if you get to this point and you are looking to get help there. Cool. Anything
Do
else?
you, not super relevant for board games, but do you happen to know if Google Analytics work with a RSS feed for a podcast?
That's a great question. Let me Google Analytics on RSS. How to track your RSS generated traffic. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Google Urchin, Google Analytics. So because RSS isn't HTML, you'll need a slightly different way to deal with it. But it does look like you can add parameters, I guess, to track that.
Yeah, my understanding was that RSS happens to be a very ancient and non-featureful way to do anything. Podcasts still have it, and therefore the analytics for them tend to be trash.
yeah, RSS was like really popular back in like 2005 through 2010. But you're totally right. Like it lacks a lot of features and it's not HTML. So like it's actually hard to connect it to things. So it looks like it can be done, but you need to do it in a specific way. So it looks like there's some Google, you can Google it and there's some good results. So that might be helpful.
All right.
Good question. All right. Anything else? You're so good. Sweet. All right. Well, let me stop the recording really quickly, and then we can swear and stuff. That's what everybody does, right?
Yeah. Thanks again, James. This was really cool.
All right, friends. Well, I made a mistake in the earlier video, so this video is here to correct that, and we're just gonna cover the things that I messed up and went out of order in. So first things first, we're going to need a web server, and EC2 is where web servers are created. But, and this is where I went wrong, before we do that, we're actually going to need to go to a separate place and get some things set up. So let's type in IAM for Identity Access Manager. Boop. So IAM actually provides you with access to other AWS tools and functionality. So it like links all these services together, because out of the box, everything is locked down. They try to keep things really secure, and security is up to you to manage. So in order for us to access our web server's console, we actually need to create a role that will let us get access to it. So IAM roles, boop. And let's create a role. So we're here. Let's do EC2. That's, again, where our web server is going to live. So we click that, permissions. And now we're going to look for a thing called SSM full access. There it is. So that's going to give us access to Session Manager, and it will let us into the console. So click that checkbox there. Tags, next, or no, I'm sorry, name. This is going to be Systems Manager Access, or full access. Whoop. Review. Punch that in there, and then this will provide terminal. Console terminal access. Boom. Let's create that role. Systems Manager full access. Oh, yeah. So let's just copy. I just want to copy just a little bit of it if I can. That's fine. I'll copy whatever. We know what it is. All right. So now once that's done, let's go to EC2. Virtual servers in the cloud. So let's make a web server. big orange button right here. Click that, launch instance. And okay, so now this is a 7-step process, and I'm genuinely not. We're just gonna breeze through like this stuff because it looks really complicated, and there's no reason to dive into any of this. So first things first, find the Amazon Linux 2 AMI. That's almost always going to be the very top thing that you see right away. So let's just click on that. Yep, cool. So now we're going to set the size of the web server. So that's going to give us like CPU and RAM and storage and all that sort of thing. If you're on a free account, if you pick T2 Micro, you're actually able to get 750 hours completely for free. So if you want to like just mess around, you can choose that. But if you just want to, if you've had your account for a little while, I'm going to recommend picking a T3A.Nano. So this is about 2 cents per hour that it's running. So it's ultra cheap. Let's click that. And again, if you just create an AWS account, you probably want the T2 Micro because that'll give you a bunch of hours for free. So you can click that one. But they're all the same. Doesn't matter. So click that. All right, and now here, that role that we created, we now want to set that. So that is Systems Manager full access right there. Now let's go to add storage. Everything else should be fine. Make sure that's set to 8. Add a tag. Again, name with a capital N. We're going to call this one our web server for OneCard Bluff. Configure security group. This is, again, some more stuff that's locked down. Our web server won't actually be able to talk to anything on the internet unless we make that happen. So let's go ahead and provide HTTP access for OneCard Bluff, a web server. You can keep this SSH thing here. Just set it to my IP. So yours will look different than mine because you have a different IP address than I do. Add rule. HTTP, again, we made those HTTP files earlier, so now we want to share them. So share them to anyone. And HTTPS, the secure version, same thing, anywhere. And now that will provide us the access that we want for the public. So I'll click that, launch. We're going to create a new key pair. We're just going to call this OneCard Bluff security key. And this will be used to connect to it normally, or if anything goes wrong, this is like your key to get into that computer. But we're kind of setting up a different system to access it, so we don't need this. Just make absolutely sure that you download this key pair and save it somewhere. Don't hit cancel. Always just save it. And make sure that's in a safe place where you're not going to forget where it is. And let's launch. All right, let's view the instances. It's now launching. So you can click that in here. I've got a bunch of things in here, but here is the one that we're using, our web server for OneCard Bluff. So I can right click on it, and in Monitor, I can view the instance screenshot. And this is just a computer. This is like a little tiny computer that we're renting from Amazon. It lives on the internet, and it's actually doing stuff right now. So if I click refresh, it's going to show me a screenshot of what the computer is doing at that exact second. It's not going to update in real time. This is like just a snapshot. So I'm just going to keep clicking refresh until here we go. I see the login information. So now that means that the instance is ready to go. So let's cancel out of that. We're back here. And now we're going to connect to it. So let's go to Systems Manager, a central place to view and manage AWS resources. How nice. Click on that. There are a ton of things that you're never going to care about here. But we want the thing down here called Session Manager. Click on that. You may remember we provided SSM full access. So that is the SM in SSM. And look, our web server for OneCard Bluff is here. That's awesome. Let's click on that. Start a session. And we are in. So this is a computer terminal. Like this, if you're on Windows, you've got a command prompt. see users Jamie, like this is the same thing, only that these web servers are built in Linux. And yeah, so to get full access to do the things you want to do, you want to type in sudo su. That's going to provide you super user access. And let's run through the commands. So I've actually got on another box, I'm just going to pull this up real quick, One Card Bluff. Sudo su, and then history. So these are the commands right here, these 3 commands that you'll want to run to get your web server installed and working properly. So let's just go through them one by one. I'm just going to copy, paste these, but this is my new web server. I'm going to paste as plain text, right click, paste, yum update. Cool, everything's updated. This is like fresh out of the box and it's all good. So let's punch in this command, yum install httpd. This is going to install the web server. It's going to ask yes or no. Just type in a little y. Bang, it's installed. And then we want to start that up. So service httpd start. Boom, boom. Paste as plain text. Go. All right. That's literally all you need to install the web server software. So now if I was to type server httpd status, paste that in there or type it in. Active running. So we're literally running a web server right now. So what that means, how this works, this is an Apache HTTP server. How this works is that if you go to the folder, which is called cd/var/www/html, and if I list the files in here by typing in ls and hitting enter, there's nothing here. It's completely empty folder. But if I put an index.html file here, that is going to provide the web page that the web server can now show people. So let me show you how that works really quickly. So you may remember our little web page right here. I removed the head stuff. It's just the body that says this is the body. Let's copy this and let's use the Linux version of Notepad, which is called, I use VI. So we'll do that. So VI index.html. This is going to create an index.html page in this folder. Boom. All right, type the I key on your keyboard to enter insert mode. So now I'm in insert mode and I can start typing and it'll accept that. Right click, paste as plain text. I've now inserted this and I hit escape to exit insert mode. And the command for saving this, because there's no like real interface here, is hit the colon key. So there we are, colon, and then WQ. That's computer magic language for save and quit. Right and quit? Yeah, whatever. Enter. So now I have set up a web page on this web server. Let's go back to EC2. So EC2. Pull up our instance that's running. Here's the web server for One Card Bluff. And now this web server has a public IP address, 3.239.118.68. So let's copy that. What that means is that this web server, which is serving up a web page that we just dumped into it, if we visit its address, we're going to get that web page. So let's go and make a new tab, punch that in, hit enter. Bam, this is the body. Look at that. We just took the web page that existed on our computer right here. We copied it to the web server in the correct folder, and it's literally displaying the web page that we put there right now. So now if you had a nice web page, so let's say I had spent a lot of time on something that looked nice. Let me actually just remove that old file. So RM is for remove. I want to remove it. And now I want to make a new one. So vi index.html. I to insert, right click, paste, escape to exit insert mode, colon WQ enter. So now I've just taken my real web page from my own computer and I posted it to the index.html file in this folder. So if I type in ls, it will tell me that that file is real and it exists here. Let's go back here to that same address, the web server, and refresh. Boom. And now this is my actual web page here that's a little bit more filled out. So you can see I got like a little intro, a little trailer, some rules, etc. But yeah, just that simple to get the web server set up and display a web page. Just absolutely incredible that this thing took 13 minutes to get rolling, and you can just keep doing this now. As you make progress, you can just remove the index.html file that's there, put in a new one, and it's like magic. It's just updated. So awesome. Hope that helps. And I apologize for the mistake earlier with the order of operations here, but this will get you going. So thanks.